You've been doing your core work wrong. Not lazy, not skipping it, wrong. You're grinding through 5-minute Abbey circuits, sweating through crunches until your neck hurts more than your abs, and you're still getting that same wobble in your hips at mile 4. Same collapse, same fatigue creeping into your lower back around the 20-minute mark. And here's the part that stings. The fix might be 1 minute, not 5, not 20.
1. Sit with that for a second, because your brain is already fighting it. We've been trained to believe more effort equals more results. More miles, more sets, more suffering. So the idea that 60 seconds a day could actually move the needle feels like a scam. Like someone selling you a 6-minute AB workout at 2 a.m. on cable TV. I get the skepticism. I'd have it too. But stick with me, because what's coming isn't hype. It's a college athletics lab, a treadmill, and numbers that don't care about your feelings. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your body when you run and your core is doing nothing. Every time your foot hits the ground, your pelvis wants to rotate. It wants to drop on one side, twist a little, leak energy sideways instead of sending it forward. Your core's entire job, the real job, not the aesthetic one, is to stop that leak.
Keep the trunk still enough that your legs can do their thing without your hips doing the wave. When that stability isn't there, you're not just running less efficiently. You're running like a rusted hinge. Every stride costs you a little more oxygen than it should. And you feel that cost around mile 3, mile 5, wherever your particular breaking point lives. Now here's your reality check, because I promised you data, not vibes.
Researchers ran an 8-week study on college athletes, runners, basketball players, football players, the whole range, split into 2 groups. One group trained like normal. The other added 3 short core sessions a week on top of their regular training. 8 weeks later, they put everyone back on a treadmill for an incremental running test, cranking the intensity stage by stage. In the group that did the core work, oxygen consumption at the hardest stage of the test dropped.
Their hearts weren't working as hard at the same pace as before. That's the literal definition of running economy improving. Your body doing the same job for a cheaper metabolic price. Other research building on that same 8-week core protocol clocked the running economy gain around 4.5% in trained runners. 4.5% doesn't sound dramatic until you remember that elite marathoners fight their whole careers for gains measured in fractions of a percent. This wasn't a supplement, it wasn't new shoes, it was planks. So no, I'm not telling you a 60-second plank rewires your VO2 max overnight. That's not how physiology works, and if anyone tells you that, they're selling something. What I am telling you is this: consistent, boring, unglamorous core stability work, the kind you can knock out before you brush your teeth, measurably changes how efficiently trained runners move. Not maybe. Measured. On a treadmill. With lab equipment. Here's a question for you, and I want you to actually answer it in your head before you keep listening. When's the last time you felt your form fall apart on a run? Not tired legs. That's normal. That's expected. That's the sport. I mean, the moment your shoulders start caving forward, your hips start swinging, your stride turns choppy and desperate. That moment has a name in the literature.
It's called core fatigue-related breakdown, and it tends to show up exactly when the workout gets hard. Tempo runs, hill repeats, the back half of a long run. Your legs aren't the first thing that quits, your trunk is. And once your trunk goes, your legs are compensating for a foundation that's already crumbling, which means you're burning extra energy just to stay upright, let alone move forward. This is where people usually go wrong twice. First mistake, they think core training means crunches. It doesn't. Crunches train your rectus abdominis to flex your spine forward, which is not a movement running actually needs. You're not curling into a ball at mile 6. You need anti-rotation, anti-extension, muscles that resist movement, not create it. That's exactly what a plank trains. You're not moving. You're refusing to move while gravity and your own body weight try to make you cave. That refusal is the whole point. Second mistake, they think longer holds are automatically better. Ego gets involved. Someone brags about a 5-minute plank on Instagram, and now everyone's chasing time instead of quality. But once your form breaks, hips sagging, lower back arching, shoulders creeping toward your ears, you're not training stability anymore. You're just hanging out in a bad position, reinforcing the exact compensation patterns that wreck your running form in the first place. A strict 60-second plank with your body in one clean line is worth more than 3 minutes of a collapsing mess. Let's get practical, because I know some of you are 3 steps ahead, wondering what this actually looks like tomorrow morning. Forearms down, elbows stacked under your shoulders, feet hip-width apart. One straight line from your head to your heels. No dropped hips, no piked butt in the air, trying to cheat the burn. Squeeze your glutes. Pull your belly button in like someone's about to poke you in the ribs. Breathe. That last part matters more than people think. Holding your breath spikes your blood pressure and tires you out faster for no benefit. 60 seconds. That's it. Do it before your run, or right after, or honestly, whenever you're already on the floor doing literally anything else. The barrier to entry is basically 0, which is exactly why most people skip it. It doesn't feel like training, it feels too small to count. And that right there is the trap most runners fall into. They equate discomfort with value. If it doesn't hurt, if you're not gasping, they assume it's not working. But your pelvis doesn't care how much you suffered. It cares whether it stayed level while your legs cycled underneath it thousands of times over a run. A boring minute of perfect form does more for that than 5 chaotic minutes of ego lifting. Here's a stat that tends to shut people up. Ohio State researchers used motion capture and force plate technology, actual biomechanical modeling of runners' bones and muscles in motion, and found a direct connection between a stronger deep core and reduced low back pain in runners. Not correlation dressed up as causation. A measured relationship in how the body absorbs and transfers load. If you've ever finished a long run and felt that dull ache settle into your lower back hours later, this is probably where it's coming from. Not your shoes, not your mattress. A core that's been asked to stabilize your spine for 2 hours and simply wasn't strong enough to do it. Now, some of you are going to ask the obvious question. If planks are so powerful, why isn't every training plan built around them? Fair. Here's the honest answer. The one fitness influencers don't want to give you because it kills the clickbait. A plank will not replace your running. It will not turn you into a faster runner on its own, no matter how long you hold it or how many variations you add. What it does is remove a leak. It plugs a hole in the bucket, so the training you're already doing, the miles, the intervals, the long runs, actually sticks instead of dribbling out through a wobbly, inefficient stride. Runners chase new workouts, new shoes, new supplements, when the cheapest, fastest upgrade is often just teaching their trunk to shut up and hold still. Think about it this way. You wouldn't build a house on a foundation that shifts every time the wind blows. You'd fix the foundation first, then build up. Somehow with running, we skip straight to the fancy stuff, speed work, hill sprints, altitude masks, while the foundation is still cracked. The plank isn't glamorous. It's not going to get you a shout out from your running club, but it's the unsexy infrastructure work that makes everything built on top of it hold together. Here's a contradiction worth sitting with. We treat strength training like it's optional for runners, something you add if you have extra time, extra energy, extra motivation. But your body doesn't experience running as a purely cardiovascular event. It experiences it as thousands of tiny controlled falls, stride after stride, where your core's job is to catch you before you actually fall. Cardio gets you the engine. Core stability gets you the chassis that keeps the engine from shaking itself apart at speed. You can have a Ferrari engine bolted to a shopping cart frame, and it's still going to fall apart on the highway. Let's go back to the study group for a second, because there's a detail worth pulling out. The core training group didn't just get better running economy, their balance scores improved too, measured on a sensory organization test that checks how well your body maintains equilibrium under different sensory conditions. That's not a coincidence. Balance and running economy are more connected than most runners realize, because both depend on your nervous system's ability to sense and correct small deviations in your body position in real time.
A stronger core doesn't just resist collapse after it happens. It helps your brain catch the wobble before it becomes a problem. That's proprioception, and it's trainable, and a plank happens to be one of the simplest ways to train it. So here's the moment where this should land differently than when you started listening. You didn't need a new training plan. You didn't need to run more, or run faster, or buy different shoes with a rocker sole that costs $200. You needed 60 seconds a day of doing almost nothing, just holding a line, breathing, refusing to collapse. It's almost insulting how small the ask is compared to the runners who spend hours a week chasing marginal gains everywhere, except the one place their form is actually breaking down. Try this on your next run. Somewhere around the point where you usually start losing form, you know the spot. Everybody has one. Think about your hips. Just check in. Are they level? Is one side dropping every time that foot lands? For most runners who skip core work, the answer is yes, and they've just never had a reason to notice it before. That small awareness alone changes how you run, because you start correcting in real time instead of grinding through a compromised stride for the rest of the workout. Here's the part nobody wants to hear though, so let's not dodge it. A single plank tomorrow morning won't fix 8 years of compensation patterns.
The study that showed those running economy gains ran for 8 weeks, 3 sessions a week, not one lazy minute here and there when you remembered. If you want the 4.5%, you have to actually put in the 8 weeks. Consistency is the unsexy engine behind every stat I just gave you. Miss it for 2 weeks, and your body starts sliding back toward its old habits, because tissue adapts to what you repeatedly ask of it, not what you did once in January. But here's the flip side, and this is the part that should actually get you moving. 60 seconds a day for 8 weeks is under an hour of total training time. Less than one long run. Less than a single hard tempo session. For a return that shows up in your oxygen cost, your balance, your low back pain, and, for a lot of runners, the exact moment their form used to fall apart late in a run. That's not a bad trade. That might be the best trade in your entire training week. So the next time you lace up and you're staring down a run that scares you a little, a longer distance, a faster pace,
a hill you've been avoiding, remember that the difference between finishing strong and falling apart at the end might not live in your lungs. It might live in a muscle group you've been ignoring for years because it never felt like real training. It's not about being tougher.
It's about being stiller in exactly the right place for exactly long enough. And if that idea just cracked something open for you, the fact that running is not just a leg sport, that your whole body is a system and the weakest link decides what the strongest part can actually do, hold on to that thought because we're not done. If 60 seconds of stillness can change how your body handles every single stride, imagine what happens when you change the run itself. Because nobody's told you this yet, and it's coming in the next episode. 15 minutes of running, done the right way, can start transforming your body before this year is even over. Not someday, still in 2026. If this shifted how you think about your own training, don't let it disappear into the scroll. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Drop a like if you're actually going to try the plank tomorrow morning instead of just nodding along.
Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I read every single one. Share this with the running buddy who always skips core day. And if you want deeper breakdowns like this one before anyone else sees them, the membership link is pinned in the comments. See you in the next one.